Hello, Cancer, and welcome to your September 2025 tarot card reading. We're going to get started with an oracle card to get a sense of the energy you're moving into for this September. Suffering in silence. This is Nine of Swords energy. So some of you are definitely in your head and you're repeating something. You're going over something. Suffering in silence is usually depicted in the tarot deck with these Nine of Swords, and you're like sitting up in bed and you can't sleep. That's usually the illustration. And usually what this means is that you keep on replaying something over in your mind. Your mind has been, taken hostage over your darker shadows, over your demons. You're looking and letting it kind of go in an area that's not reality. Well, first of all, what's in our head, isn't really reality either. But because we want to be present, right? We want to take each step at a time. We don't want to bring problems onto ourselves, especially if they haven't realized. And when you have this narration, and we all get it, it's because there's stress, there's anxiety, there's maybe some misfortune that you're leaning on, and it's really hard to turn your mind around. But here's the good news. So Saturn, September 1st, is retrograde in Pisces, and it's staying there until February 13th when it moves back to Aries. And what that means for you is that you have this time to do the work. And Saturn always puts us to work. Everybody has to go to work. And actually, it's in your ninth house of new beginnings, new good luck. And it's also about a new philosophy, a new outlook on life. Now, you notice when people are really lucky, you see them like, just coming off of a really, fortunate, experience, and they're all excited and happy and smiling, and they have this wonderful energy, right? But that energy is usually caused from that experience. And what you're going to have to do, what Saturn is trying to show you, which is what your homework is you have to get this new outlook, before that experience happens. Because it's not going to be a byproduct of it. The strength of how you view your world has to be separate than the experiences, right? Because it's like letting people's opinion affect you, right? If somebody leaves a nasty comment on one of your, social media platforms or whatever, it kind of affects you, kind of burns or whatever. And sometimes people get into this little bit of a battle, passive aggressive, and it's crazy, right? And you kind of get into this, unhealthy, I don't know if we want to say always suffering, but it's sometimes painful, our feelings get hurt or whatever. And really Saturn's job is self-mastery. So Saturn's job for you, Cancer, is to look at how you can change your outlook, regardless of how people view you, have an opinion about it. It's really none of your business, regardless of an experience, because things happen. It's how we react to them that creates our karma. That's the message. And you're in the house of karma, if sort of. Pisces domain is the 12th house. And so, Saturn's visiting Pisces. So this is the house of closures, house of, releasing karmic debt. For you, it's how you process information and repeat it and create these own little hell loops for yourself, replaying a scenario or an experience. And you have this opportunity now to do some internal work, some introspective work, and for some self-mastery with Saturn's help there. So I like that for you. And I want to say the lunar eclipse on the 7th of September is also in the same sign of Pisces. So eclipses mean what? It means eclipsing things out, clearing the way. And eclipses are powerful. They are extremely powerful. They pack a punch because they're meant to shake us up. So that supports Saturn's lesson for you. So there's no getting away from this. So I love that the Queen of Swords showed up too. We'll talk about that in a minute. I want to get the other cards so as not to mess or mud up the messages because of augmentation here. Okay. So we have the Eight of Wands, Knight of Pentacles, Seven of Wands. Beautiful. The Sun card, Five of Pentacles, Five of Swords, and the Lovers. Oh, Cancer. You got some beautiful energy to look forward to. Okay. So we talked about the Queen of Swords, and you know the Queen of Swords, all swords, they're about clarity, how we process information. They're about communication. They're about facts. And the Queen of Swords is kind of known for her directness. You know, she gets to the point quickly. No pun intended. She's got a pretty long and sharp sword, but she does it because she delivers the truth, and the truth sometimes is harsh. And that's, I think, where she gets her, I think it's misrepresented, basically, because, you know, don't shoot the messenger type of thing is what I'm thinking about with the Queen of Swords. But I like that she's bringing the truth to you. And she's saying, listen, you're causing a lot of this chaos, you know, you're causing your own suffering here. And you have the ability to, you know, process your information because, again, this is, you know, swords, communication. That means not just putting in information out there, it's about how we receive it. You need to look at things from a different point of view and understand, you know, that your outlook oftentimes will create, you know, a situation, make it more difficult, okay? More difficult to get out of. So I like that she showed up for you. And by the way, she's crowning the Sun, which is the Lotto card, and I'll get to that because that's one of my favorite cards. Of course it is. So, okay, so we talked about Saturn, September 1st, and of course that's in your philosophy, your outlook in life. And, you know, some things have to change there, and they're going to. And they're going to be impacted there because the lunar eclipse on the 7th is going to come in and lend some energy. Okay. Then we talk about, let's see, the Knight of Pentacles. So the Knight of Pentacles coming in suggests that there is a little bit of a slowing period for you. Now, it's interesting because the Eight of Wands is big energy coming in fast. And a lot of this energy, by the way, it's passionate energy because they're wands. And so some of this can be big things too, like love interest coming in, home moves, career moves, big life events, you know, are coming your way. But some of them are going to take some time, you know, to develop. And that's what the Knight of Pentacles says. The Knight of Pentacles says we're not going to be moving fast and furious. This is the stuff that's coming into us. These are the opportunities, the blessings, the serendipity heading our way. But we just don't run, you know, to the finish line with them. You know, we're mindful. You know, we take our time. We're not going to be going slow. We're going to be going purposefully. You know, we're going to be considering some things. And along the way, we are going to stop and put up some security. You know, we're going, you know, to make sure that things are in a safe, protective position. Now, what that could mean for you is, I know that the solar eclipse in Virgo is happening in your third house later this month. And the third house is your local community and some of your, you know, relationships. And that can be neighbors, and it can be, you know, just what's around your local area. It could be siblings, and it could be closer relationships. And I like that the Lovers cards showed up here because I think that there's some protection and some security that you are going to make sure is in place to keep this in a safe place for you, right? I mean, our relationships with people aren't really any concern of anybody else's. It's not to be judged. It's not to be, you know, maybe talked about or chatted about. I mean, we're in that society where everybody has an opinion, and because we have these quick social media platforms where everybody thinks that, you know, their point of view is the most important view. And you're going to put some security and some protection around this, and you're not going to have anybody weighing in because you want to keep this pure. You want it to grow. All right, so we talked about the Sun card over here, and the Sun card is the big yes card from the universe. So you are getting a wish fulfilled. I want to point out, though, that the Sun card is bigger than the wish card, you know, the Nine of Cups. It's bigger than a wish being fulfilled with the Star card, which is a major arcana card. It really is about an emotional abundance of feelings, you know, of joy that just emanates from you. And I love this. The Ace of Cups, I think, is probably closest to it, because it too, your cup literally runneth over. And that joy is going to help carry you through. And guess what? Mars moves into Scorpio later this month. And it's time to express yourself. It's time to be bold. It is time to, you know, to put yourself out there, because the fifth house of self-expression is about love and romance and fun and joy, and it's coming your way. It's coming your way because Mars, the big, bold, assertive, sometimes too ambitious, sometimes a little too aggressive, noted, it's showing up for you. And it's showing up for you to express yourself in your best light possible. So it doesn't always have to be at a fast clip, but it has to be purposeful. And yes, you want to protect this. This is like the Lotto card, no kidding. Now it's next to the Five of Pentacles, which is interesting, because the Five of Pentacles shows a period of not operating on a whole level, operating on a scarcity level. You know what I mean? In your world, in your material world, because it's Pentacles. So some of you haven't felt, this isn't joy, it's the antithesis of joy. This is a period of downtroddenness, right? A low period. And I think that some of you are remembering where you came from. And when I say where you came from, it's the experiences that you've had in your life. But they've gotten you here so far. I want you to remember that. But it kind of goes along with this suffering and silence. You know, you kind of just were helping people out. Sometimes you needed a little bit of help. And you just had this mentality that this is your lot in life, that this is where you're going to remain in life. And the Sun coming in is saying this is all changing. There's no need to suffer in silence or otherwise. You have to fight for what you want. That's what the Five of Swords is. This is a battle. And for you, it's an internal battle. To release this suffering, to release this energy. I mean, the Five of Swords is looking right over here saying, we want you to surrender that, you know. We want you to change the way you're thinking about things. This is an old story, by the way, Cancer. It's not your new one. No matter how old you are, no matter where you are in life, you always have the opportunity to write a new story for yourself. And I am telling you, you've got the Sun card over here. You've got the Five of Swords saying, fight the urge to tell your old story. I mean, here's the sad truth. Nobody cares. Nobody's interested in it. Everybody carries their own pain. And yes, there are loving people in your life, but they don't want to hear your sad story. Tell a good story. Tell a happy story. Rise up and be hope. Be love. Be light, and just claim your power. It is good news for you, Cancer. I hope it resonated. If it has, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm wishing you balance, peace, and harmony. Take care.